can I thank you, Mr. Jones?
I have broke my arm. I consider it a trifle in comparison to what I feared on your account.
Broken your arm?
Oh, I'm afraid I have, madam.
What?
Yet I have another to lead you home.
But he was so damn funny in it. I mean,
and one of the many people nominated for Oscars in this thing.
He had that look of a good-looking British guy from the 17th century.
This is a big, lavish movie, Tom Jones.
Yes.
Welcome to Brit Flix with Kelly, Paul, and Chuck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. This is Kelly Monteith. I'm Paul Boland.
We're talking about British films, mostly comedy.
With our good friend Charles Shaw here.
Yes.
It helps us enjoy things even that much better.
Nothing like having a glass of wine and watching a good film.
We're going to talk about the 1963 film Tom Jones, starring Albert Finney.
Finney made Albert Finney a huge
This was
star.
his star turn, right?
Yeah. You look at it and you go, I don't see anybody else in that part.
No.
He had that look of a good-looking British guy.
Great head of hair.
Yes, right. Great head of hair, and all the women went nuts for him. Remember the woman coming out the window and looking at him? Oh, don't send him away. Very raunchy film, but
and the definition of body, I think. Yeah, this
God.
movie, yes.
It shall be our custom to leave such scenes where taste, decorum, and the censor dictate.
But, you know, it had a great cast. Like Hugh Griffith was hysteric. I remember watching the very beginning of it. He was so damn funny in it. I mean,
and one of the many people nominated for Oscars in this thing is that this Tom Jones not only it won Best Picture that year, but everybody was nominated in this movie.
it had to be kind of the way it was back in those days. Like Hugh Griffith just grabs a farm girl and tumbles into the hay where remember there's a hay bale on the field, and he just grabs her and falls into the pipe.
A lot of the movies that we talk about can be classified as very proper British.
Right.
You know, those Ealing comedies can be very proper British. This is far from it.
Totally,
They're
completely
eating, you know, with their hands and
Right,
everything.
that's right.
There's no holds barred in this
Oh
thing.
yeah, no, yeah.
And I like the way it's set up. Now, this movie is directed by Tony Richardson. He's a brilliant British director, you know. And again, I think we could do a series on just Tony Richardson's films. When I looked at the movies he did over this period, because there's almost a movie every year, but you'd see like Look Back in Anger, and then The Entertainer, and then Tom Jones. None of them look the same, because when you look at Olivier and The Entertainer, and then this is a big, lavish movie, Tom Jones.
Yes.
And it starts off with this sort of silent movie opening.
Right. It's almost like a Benny Hill thing. He's like a Benny Hill kind of...
you're almost going to hear that.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, when they're running up the stairs, and it's like a farcical. Very farcical.
And all just to give you the exposition of Tom. Is that Tom is the bastard son of the servant, right?
Yeah, right.
And the lord of the house decides, well, I'll raise him.
I'll adopt him and raise him. Yeah,
and they send the woman away and he'll raise him as his own. And then of course there's the legitimate heir that's there as well. So that's kind of becomes the when they get older, who's going to inherit and all that.
He's a real raunchy guy, and he's lustful, and good looking,
and he's also, because even though he's raised there, he's raised with the knowledge of that he's the kind of the black sheep of the family. So he lives up to his.
He does. He definitely does. But the iconic scene in that whole film was the Tom Jones eating scene.
Right.
When he's in the inn and he meets the woman and they are having dinner and they're eating and it gets more and more sexual. I think that scene's been ripped off countless times. But it's that was the original. And I'll never forget that scene because his money's stolen during the night.
That's right.
And he's looking for his money the next morning, and he's having a big fight with him, and then he looks in the camera right away because he said, "Did you see where's my money?" And he looks in the camera and says, "Where's my money? Did you see my money?" And it was so shocking. I remember in the theater watching it.
To talk to you,
that he looked in the camera and said that, but at the same time it was hysterical. It was so damn funny.
And they employed that a few times in the movie
but
he
much
does,
more subtle.
It's very subtle, where he breaks the wall, but it's just with a look of going, can you believe this? The first time that you see Albert Finney, as he's walking through the woods and it's kind of dusk, dark, like he hears an owl, he looks up, he sees the owl, and the owl and Tom wink at each other. They've set up his character with just that one little wink.
But he was such a handsome guy that the women just fawned over him, and of course he took advantage of that, because he was a lustful guy too.
He's so handsome, isn't he? And speaking of nice looking, this movie also brings you a very young, beautiful Susannah York. She's really the love interest. She's the one you kind of hope they'll get together.
And mistakes him for doing something else, and she shuns him, and he finally wins her in the end, of course, and they get together. But she was beautiful, gorgeous.
And like you said, as much as Albert Finney looked the part, she was that perfect, beautiful.
She was,
British
counterpart. Yeah, she was.
British young girl.
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about Tom Jones, the hunt, which I guess it's a deer hunt, because it's a deer they seem to be going after. The thing I kind of took away with that as I watched it a few times is how, even though this is a comedy and a romp, he kind of shows how violent those hunts were, because people are dropping like flies.
The horses are falling. They're going over. They're jumping
animals that are just passing by farms, and animals are killed and hurt during this thing, and you kind of go, wow, he's really showing how brutal this
had to be.
This was.
Yeah. It's almost sort of Monty Python-ish in that sense. Remember Monty Python in the Holy Grail?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll never forget that funny scene when they
bring out your dead.
God, but Tom Jones has a bit of that, but in a not so quite
not as
graphic
or as obvious way.
Not so graphic and obvious, but
a fine film.
So you got a great director, great writer, great script. Of course, it came from a Fielding novel,
classic novel,
from years ago, and it all comes together.
And watching the credits of Tom Jones, I saw a name in there, so I want some of our fans out there to tell us in the comments. If you watch this movie, the director's sister-in-law has a very small part. I want you to tell me who she is and what part she plays.
Oh, that one escaped me. I'll have to watch it myself. Can I win the prize if I?
Absolutely, sure. You know what you get? You get the rest of this.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll have to be honest with you, folks. I don't have to go in the contest for that. I got this right here at my elbow.
I got $2. That'll be better.
By the way, I got a spring for a couple of these. I haven't yet, so.
That's all we care that Kelly's here. That's all I care about.
It's always a pleasure to be with my friend, Mr. Boland. And we give Tom Jones 2 chucks up.
Absolutely. God, great movie that was, huh?
Yes.
But that food scene in Tom Jones, when I rewatched it builds so beautifully.
I know. And they're so, they got grease.